Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to send this over to YouTube so people can watch us there too if they decide to join that way. Is there anything in particular that you would like to work on today?
Uh, yeah, this is, uh, I always think it's hard to tell that my um, shoulders, I'm trying uh, sort of think about the tension and release them, but it always seems to me that they're bending forward a bit. And at the
Okay.
same time, I kind of have sort of not pain, but a little tension in the lower back. So those are two areas I'm thinking about.
Perfect. Do you have any weights?
I do.
You do?
I have um, these heavy 5 pound, and I have these cans that are 2 pounds, a little less than two. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, perfect. Then what we are going to do today is we're going to do a couple things. We are going to use some of those weights to start to build a little bit of strength. So when you feel tension or tightness in your lower back, usually that's something we can help correct with strength training, because there might be like an inefficiency somewhere, or that part has gotten weak and it's all connected. The other piece of it is that we can start to work on posture, because I understand what you're feeling, and that is a challenge for all of us. Our body is doing something different than we want it to do. So before we get started today,
Yeah. I
we're going to.
also have a flex band.
Oh, you do? Perfect. Hi, Edie.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How was your visit?
Oh, I haven't gone yet. I'm in quarantine right now until the 23rd.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going right away. Okay.
And then I'll go up when I'm safe.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How much snow did you get?
We got quite a bit of snow. Like, I don't know. Do you know how many inches we got, Joe?
I would say it's hard to about wow 6 to 8 maybe.
Wow.
Where are you?
We're both in Massachusetts
as well. I'm
well,
about a mile and a half from Jennifer.
Oh, okay. We got I think we got 1.5 feet.
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we got at least 16 inches.
Okay.
And it's still snowing.
Edie, do you have any weights or any bands?
Yes,
You do. Perfect. So today we were going to use weights, and Joe just told me she had a band, so we're going to use bands.
Yeah, I'm going to go get my bands.
Okay, perfect.
I have 4-pound weights here.
Perfect. Wow. We will use those. And if you have a book, like I like to use this hardcovered book, it's about reading size for the bed. If you have one like this, then you can grab that too.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh, cool. Look at all those bands.
Yeah.
Woo! Perfect. We are going to use the yellow ones today. That's the easier of the three that you have, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. My red is going to be most equivalent to your yellow, I think. My red is not the same as your red. It's a really easy red.
I think these yellow are the lowest. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. I don't have a yellow, otherwise I would use my yellow. And I think you were gone, but do you have a book, like a hard-covered book, small, maybe something you'd read in bed, or a soft-cover book that's kind of hard?
Yeah. Okay, I'll get that.
Grab that. Okay, cool. All right, let me know when you both are ready with your book. We want to start first with our books.
Okay. Got it. Got one.
You have your book?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, I'm going to show you it and then we're going to do it together. So I'm going to show you it in detail, but then I will do it again so we can all follow along. I just want you to see it one time. So I'm going to hold the book like this, like I'm holding a tray. And this is going to be a warm up for our shoulders. We can do it standing up, but I'm going to come closer so you can see. So I hold the book like this and I'm going to rotate it around and around to warm up my shoulder joint. So I'll show you how to do that. You want to start by taking your hand and making it flat and putting it on the book. Some people who have arthritis in their hands, this might be bothersome, so let me know. But you want your fingertips facing behind you. And you can be standing up while you do this. I'm just sitting down so you can see me really close.
Does
So
the
you have
weight of the
finger-
book, does the weight of the book matter?
I would go with a smaller book, like a reading book, like something like this, or like a novel-sized book.
Okay, I
Like,
have a soft cover. It's big, but it's soft. So it's not too
Okay.
heavy.
Okay, perfect. So even if you have a little one, it's okay. So if it's heavy, it's going to be harder, or big, it's going to be harder. So you're holding this with your fingertips behind you and you're standing up. And basically, you're going to take your fingertips and you're going to rotate them away from you. And you're going to keep rotating them around until they come under you and they point behind the wall. And then you're going to come back exactly where you came from. Perfect. So we want to do 5 of those on each shoulder. So this is an exercise actually for your shoulder. So the bigger or heavier the book, it's going to be harder to balance or more challenging, but no worries. If you find that your book is not working, you can just do it without a book. But I need to have the book because you have to balance it. And just take your time with this. Let me know if either of you find yourself in a pain zone. And we're just going to warm up the shoulder. So 5 on each side. Once you've done 5 on that side, you can go ahead and switch to 5 on this side. Perfect.
I have to bend over sometimes.
That's okay. That's okay to get it through. Yes. And just take your time with it. Go nice and slow. You might drop your book. No worries.
Yes, this side is more challenging. Yes.
Yes, we all have a side that's more challenging. And Edie, I know you have one shoulder that gives you some trouble. So if you can't do this on that shoulder, let me know. If you can't do it on that shoulder, I would say if you can hold the book like a tray and you can rotate your fingertips at least to come out like you're serving something and then go back on that side, that would be great. If you can't do that, let me know and I'll give you a different exercise.
Yeah, I feel it in this shoulder.
Perfect. Nice.
Yes, and then.
Perfect. So you only have to do 5 on each side and then you can go ahead and put the book down. So when you're both done with those 5, let me know.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. So I want you to grab the easiest band that you have. If it's colors like Joe has, usually the yellow is the easier of them. If you don't have yellow, but you have red, grab red. If you have a different type of band, some people have bands like this, or they have another band, let me know what you have and I will show you how to modify the exercise. Just had another one.
I also have this band.
Perfect. I want you to use the yellow one.
Yeah, I will.
Edie, what kind of band do you have?
Oh, I need to get them out. I got a
Okay.
lot of bands. Let's see. I'll tell you in a minute.
Some people have bands like this too. They're connected in a loop.
I have yellow, green, blue,
Perfect. I want you to use your yellow.
yellow.
If my yellow broke, otherwise I would be using my yellow too.
I've got two kinds of yellow. Let's see. They both seem about the same. One is a heavier yellow. One is a really soft yellow.
Let's go with the soft yellow.
Okay.
All right, so we are going to take our band and we're going to grab somewhere roughly in the middle. So we want our hands to be coming straight out from our shoulders. So I look like this.
Yeah.
And what I want you to do is I want you to pull that band apart as far as you comfortably can, and then reach your shoulders overhead. And again, you need to determine where your range of motion is. Like I can go all the way back and it doesn't hurt, but when I've had shoulder injuries, I can't go past here and it hurts. So I want you to stretch that band and only go as far as you can go, and don't worry where that is before you feel any pain. And then keep it stretched and come all the way back to your waist and then release it. And then you're going to stretch that band again, come as far as you can overhead. You're going to keep it stretched and come back down and then release it. So in your own time, I want you to do about 6 of those. If you need to take a bigger rest in between, feel free. This is an exercise for your shoulders, and you definitely might feel it. So if you want to make it harder, you can stretch that band even further apart. If you want to make it easier, you can stretch it less. Depending on how your shoulders feel, you can play with the spacing of your hands. So the further your hands are away from each other, the easier it might be to get your hands overhead. So ideally, I want you to be with your hands about shoulder width apart, but if you're finding you can't really move this band at all, try extending them even further out and then pulling it.
Yeah,
You're
one
gonna go-
shoulder, my bad shoulder holds me back from doing it. My other arm can do it, but
No worries. So I want you to only go as far as that shoulder will let you, and that could be just here, and that's fine. So if you're just doing a little range of motion, I want you to grab this band even closer together, really stretch it apart, and just move in that little range that you have. Because that's no problem. You can still build the strength of the muscles like this. This is actually very hard. Nice. So you're going for 6. Perfect. All right, once you're both at 6, you can put the band aside somewhere that you have it handy. And we're going to go ahead and do some step overs again. But
Okay.
before we start the step overs, we're going to think about our posture. So if you feel like your back is rounding here, your shoulders are rounding, one thing that you can think about is opening your hands so that this pit of my armpit, if you think about wherever you naturally are, it maybe is facing behind you or facing your body. I want you to think about opening it to the room so that pit of your elbow is facing outside the room, and then have that help you to naturally bring those shoulders back and try and hold the head really tall. And once you feel like you've sort of mastered that little piece, I want you to think about doing step overs. So we're just going to step over that imaginary object. Make sure you're nice and stable before you continue. And we're going to go ahead and do 5 on each side. So as I go over, this is 1, and 1, and then 1 and 1. You both might be at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Nice. So again, depending on how your hips are feeling today, the higher you go, the more you're going to get into that hip socket. If you're feeling any pain or anything, you can take smaller steps. But I do want you to try and push yourself to get a workout, but not feel pain. You might feel cracking or noise in your back. I know that I do. That's not a bad thing as long as it doesn't hurt. It can often be air, or you think about it like getting the rust off of our joint. Nice.
Whoop.
Perfect. And then once you're done with your 5 and 5, we're going to go to some squats. So I know that Edie, you like to build leg strength, and Joe, you want to work on posture and shoulder. So we're going to combine that together in our workout today.
Okay.
So what we just did was endurance, and now we're going to do a little bit more endurance, but some leg strength. So if you have a chair handy, if it's a soft chair like this couch, it's obviously going to be harder. If you have a nice like chair like this, it's going to be easier. But what I want you to think about is really putting your chair in a safe place so it can't easily tip backwards. So for me, that would be against this couch. And I'm going to make sure I don't have any obstacles in front of my chair. And then I'm going to turn it to the side so that you guys can see it, but ideally I don't want it hanging out in space. So you're going to sit in your chair just like you regularly would. And we're going to go over the center of gravity and balance principles again. But when you sit in the chair, or you're watching TV, or you're enjoying a presentation of sorts, usually you're sitting pretty far back in the chair. And if you were to go to stand up from this point, let's say if your feet did touch the ground, then you have to shift all of your center of gravity and all of your weight to the front in order to stand up. And that can be quite a lot of energy. It's not the most efficient way to get out of a chair. So if we think about inching ourselves forward, more closer to the edge of the chair, then we're able to start shifting that body weight sooner, but we're still sitting down, so we're not using a lot of muscle. And then we can basically use our chest, and if we lean it forward, you should be able to feel some weight shift onto your feet, versus if you lean it back, the weight comes off your feet. So I want you to play with that and try to think about what's the most efficient way that I can stand up and then sit back down and stand up and sit back down. And we're going to do 10 of these. And your goal is really just to think about shifting that gravity from your chest and sitting closer to the edge of your chair to stand up and sit down. Depending on your biomechanics, that might be different for everybody, but just be careful that you don't get so close to the edge that you're going to fall off. Nice. Perfect. That looks good.
Yeah, that definitely makes it easier.
Perfect. So the good thing about this is that we can use it, of course, if we're tired or injured. But the other thing to think about just in general, like can we move in a way that uses less energy? And if we can do that, then we can reserve energy for other things. So a long time ago, when we were doing more hunter-gatherer, obviously important because we might have to run away from something or move like we were conserving energy all the time. But in this life that we live now, the benefit of that is, we were designed to use our bodies in ways that's very useful. And I think that we all forget how to do that. So it's just about being mindful of how you move, because it comes in handy if you're hurt or you're feeling tired one day or you're dehydrated, or if you're in a really low chair, this principle can be really helpful. All right, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to go back to those bands. And you can do this from your chair if you're want to sit down, or you can do it standing up. It's totally up to you. But basically, you're again gonna pull that band apart, bring it as high as you can over your head that you don't feel any pain, and then bring it back down to your hips and release it and take a break. If you can't move your shoulders very much at all, grab it really close together, pull it apart so it's pretty hard to pull apart, and then just work in the range of motion that you have. And you're gonna go for 6 of these. Nice. That looks good. And Joe, keep it pulled apart the whole time you're up there and all the way back down, and then release at the bottom. Nice. Perfect. So by doing this, we're working on some muscles in our back that we don't necessarily use often, and they help with our posture correction. So if we're like this all the time, then you're really going to feel those muscles be stretched. And the more that we can work on them, the more that they're going to bring our shoulders back into that position that we want to feel them in. But one thing to remember for all of us is that our posture has sort of become what it is over a long period of time. So it's not going to be fixed overnight, but we can make little corrections every day, build strength, and eventually we can get back to a place where we would prefer to be. Nice. So when you're done with those, let me know.
Jen?
Yes.
To the practical side of things, because we're going to be snow shoveling, do you have any pointers about snow shoveling?
Yes, we can go over some pointers about snow shoveling.
Okay.
So in terms of snow shoveling, I would think about a couple things. One is definitely going to be first starting with your footwear. So you want to think about, again, efficiency of movement. So if we have good footwear that doesn't slide around in the snow, then we can move more efficiently. We're not wasting energy being like, oh my God, am I going to fall? I can't even stand up. So that could look like micro spikes, or those little things that are similar to that you put around your boot that go on the bottom of your feet. But you're going to want to make sure you have a good boot, you tie it up so you have good ankle support. And if you have something to support the bottom of your feet with those spikes, then we don't have to worry about the balance that it's going to take to constantly be reacting to the snow under your feet. The second thing with any movement is to really think about your core. So your core is really going to drive everything. So the stronger that we can make this core, then the better off we're going to be when we go to do something like shoveling, because we don't want to use our back to shovel. We want to use our core to help us shovel. So that's going to get a little bit more into like movement patterns with weights, which we can talk about because you both have weights. But you're going to want to use more legs because your legs are really strong. Your legs are going to be stronger than your back in some cases for shoveling anyways. So when you think about shoveling, you're going to want to make sure that you can bend from your legs. So similar to what we're doing here, but one thing that's going to help with that is taking your weights. So if you want to take your 2 weights, I don't have weights, so I'm going to pretend these are weights. And you want to hold them up like this onto your shoulders if you can, or you can hold them down at your side. You can hug your arms across you, wherever you feel comfortable holding them. I want you to practice bending down like you're squatting and standing back up with those weights. And that's a good example of how to recruit our legs to lift something. So when you're shoveling, think about, I don't want to be bending down from my back, scooping up this snow,
Right.
and then standing up and throwing it. I want to get my legs into the mix, scoop that snow up, and then use that drive for my legs to throw it.
Okay.
Nice. The other thing we can look at really quick is hinging. So you can put your weights down for this particular movement, but when you see people squat weight like we just did, you'll notice at a certain point, like depending for everyone, it could be 200, 300 pounds, they have to put something on their knees, because when you squat, it takes a lot of a lot from your knees. So at a certain weight, that's not really a realistic movement anymore. So another thing that you see people do is called the deadlift. And we can practice that hinge pattern from the waist. And this might help with shoveling, but I would suggest that you get used to this pattern before you use it for shoveling, because if you do it wrong, it can do the opposite of what we want it to do. But we can go over it today. So for hinging, you want to take your hands and you want to put them right in your waist where you can feel it bend. And you just want to think about pushing back so that that bend comes from your waist. And then as you come up, you drive with your glutes. So you're going to get a soft little bend in those knees. You're going to put these hands here. And I want you to imagine like you're trying to close the car door with your butt. You're just hinging back until your back is nice and flat with the ground. And then you're coming up and driving with the glutes. So in theory, you can lift more weights like this. And when we add weights to this, essentially we have weights on the ground and we hinge them up with our hip and our butt muscles because those are much stronger. So this can be useful in shoveling if you can really get the pattern down. But I would say if it's a new pattern, I would just practice this for the next couple weeks. Really putting your hands there to cue it. You should feel it in the back of your legs here when you do this. You're really pushing your hips back and then driving up, squeezing glutes. Pushing the hips back and driving up, squeezing the glutes. So just really quickly, those are two patterns that we can look at when we're thinking about weight. Because the weight is coming from down here, that's not a bad pattern to have. And you really need to make sure that you've practiced it quite a bit in order to use it. So I would stick with the getting lower, scooping the weight, and then making sure that this drive is coming from the legs and the core. So we are going to want to make the core a little bit stronger, and we can either do that from this chair if you would like, or if you guys want to get on the ground, we can do that. Do you have a preference, either of you?
No.
I'll take the chair.
Perfect. We'll go with the chair. So one thing that we can think about on the chair is we can think about doing some core exercises. So I want your chair to be in a steady place, usually against a wall. I just have mine sideways so you can see me. We're going to go ahead and take our hands and put it behind us on the chair. And we're going to lift our legs up. And then I want you to think about just slowly kicking your legs down and then bringing them back up. And you should really feel this in your core almost to the point where it's maybe too difficult. So you can play with this angle. You know, you do want to be back a little bit so you're like in a V shape. But you could rest against the back of the chair as long as it's against something and it's not going to fall over. So you can use your legs like this to activate your core. Do you feel that in your core?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's do 3 more of those. Edie, do you feel that?
I can't do that.
Okay, no worries. So I can give you something else to do. So if you're sitting here like this, I want you to take your elbow and your opposite knee, and I want you to try and bring them as close together as you can, and then bring them back down. That is also going to engage your core. Just do it nice and slow. Be careful not to twist your back too much. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I want you to try for 3 to 5 of those on each side. Nice. You can take a break, Joe. You did a lot of those.
I am. Yes.
Those are good. So those are a great exercise for the core, either one of those exercises that will help you. The other thing is what we're doing with this band is going to help get some of those muscles fired up that we need to use to shovel. So, you know, to shovel properly, we need to be able to dig down in the ground, pull up, and throw the snow in. So that's pretty heavy upper body, back, shoulders, core, and legs. So I would just say to be very mindful that the number one thing is your feet are stable. So you have something that grabs the snow, and that way you're not worried about balance on top of that. And then number two is just recruiting the right muscles. So legs are a big muscle that will help. Core is a muscle that will save your back. So as we do these exercises today, think about engaging your core for this one, for example. And you can use that when you shovel. So we're going to go back to this exercise. And as you do this, I really want you to focus about squeezing your core in order to help your posture. So if you're sitting down or standing up, you can really engage that core to make sure that you're very upright as you do this. And we're going to go for 6 to 8 of these. So depending on how you're feeling, I want you to do either 6 or 8 of them. Was that helpful, Edie?
I'll let you know.
Okay. If you want, I can also maybe send someone over to shovel if you don't want to shovel. I might know some people who will do this.
My little dog didn't know what to do when he went, stepped on the first step, and he turned around, he came back in. It's higher than his head.
Jeez, that's terrible.
I know. It appears to be just about stopped.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
getting brighter out.
Good. What I have to do is really engage that core. Make sure you're thinking about the core because it's the same thing you're going to want to think about as you shovel. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is it protects your back. So if I engage my core in any exercise, it helps me be more upright and it recruits all these muscles here. I'm not pulling from these muscles back here. Nice. Joe, what do you do about shoveling?
I'm staying in today,
Nice.
hoping someone will do it.
Is there a lot to shovel at both your houses?
No, I don't have much.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Yes, you do. Oh, geez. Do you shovel your whole driveway?
Oh no, I get my driveway plowed. My driveway's big, long.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
But
good.
I've got a big patio and I've got a big deck and I've got to walk
Oh
to
my
get
gosh,
to.
you're gonna shovel all that?
Well, I'm going to do it slowly and
Yeah.
little at a time.
Perfect.
Wow.
So just remember, use those legs, use that core. Don't just keep lifting from your back because that's gonna hurt after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go back to the weighted sit to stand. Edie, if you're shoveling today, I would say don't use the weight so that you can save some energy. But
Okay.
for you, Joe, if you're not shoveling today, let's use the weights. And we're just gonna think about, again, sitting down in our chair, finding something between a normal sitting position and being way too close to the edge. So something in between that, and thinking about conserving our energy in order to stand up. And that's going to be the same concept when you shovel, is thinking about conserving your energy. So how can I do this task and make it the most efficient way possible? And some of that's going to be, again, in the legs and core to help you bring that up and over. So just very good body awareness as you do those kinds of more difficult things. And we're going to go for Edie. I'm going to have you do 6. Joe, I'm going to have you do 8. And I just want to save your energy for shoveling today. Get you nice and warmed up, but not too tired. Nice. Another way you can use these bands, Edie, that might help with shoveling, you just have to be careful because they break, but is basically If you have bare feet, you can step on them, and then you could use them to do curls, and that's going to make you stronger for shoveling.
Oh, yeah.
For your new profession as a shoveler.
Yes. All right, so we're going to go back to these one last time. Again, if you don't have a lot of range, get your hands pretty close together and pull them apart, and then just lift up as far as you can and back down to neutral. If you have a good range, I want you to go as high as you can go and come all the way back to your waist and then release them. Do you like to shovel?
It's all right. It depends on I think I do. Yeah, I mean, it's achieving something. It's
Cool. Your dog must get so excited in all the snow once he has a little
oh,
path.
he doesn't know what to think about it.
That's funny. Nice. So we're going to go for 6 to 8 of these, and I want you to base it on how you're feeling. So the reason I don't give you an exact number is because I really want folks to learn how to check in with their body and how they feel, because that is going to make this more sustainable for you as you move into the future with doing things like shoveling. If you can create that awareness of how you're feeling, then it's easier to understand when maybe you're going to experience an injury or something has gone too far in one direction and you can take a break.
Okay.
Nice. Perfect. All right. So you ladies are both all set for today. I would say good work. You both did great. Some things that you can do in the meantime are you can keep doing these. These are going to help with your posture.
Yeah.
And then another thing that you can do is just think about turning this pit of your elbow out when you try to bring your shoulders back. So we did that exercise on the wall a while ago. I'm going to pretend I have a wall where you try to get everything from your butt to your head squared up on that wall. Push your solar plexus back so it's flat, and then you open those shoulders up. So I would do that maybe 3 to 5 times. And you could do that every morning. And just really try and open yourself up with a flat back and get your body used to bringing yourself into that bigger upright posture. Perfect. Edie, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so. I really do think I need to do some physical therapy for my shoulder. A lot of these things I can't do with this left shoulder. And
I think physical therapy would be great because
Yeah.
with a shoulder that has a lot of limited range, you're going to find that if you can start to increase that again, it will help. One thing they might do with you is these. 2 is anything else that you find you can't do, just take note of it, because when they work with you, it helps them to know what kinds of things you've been limited by.
Yeah.
And if you are able to do this exercise and it doesn't hurt, it's very good for your shoulder. And if you can't do that full range on the hurt side, but you can do this, as long as you're not in any pain, I think that's a great thing to do. If you can't do that, that's totally fine too.
No, it's a good exercise.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you both. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.